Okay, I'll read from a brief statement and then take questions and answer them to the best of my abilities. So by now you're all aware that we had a member seriously wounded in the line of duty. I can confirm that the 5-year member was taken to the Foothills Hospital, where he remains in stable condition. His family is with him, and we ask that they receive privacy at this time. As you can imagine, this is every police family's worst nightmare: a knock at the door or a call informing you that a loved one has been injured in the line of duty. I'm very proud of how our members, and there were dozens of them, responded to this call, who all acted with tenacity, professionalism, and bravery. This exemplifies the standard of policing in our community and the dangers our members face on an all too frequent basis. This incident began early this morning with a robbery of a convenience store. Following the robbery, brandishing a firearm, the suspect allegedly attempted to carjack a woman outside a home in the 100 block of Abingdon Way Northeast. Our officers flooded the area and attempted to locate a suspect. As the search was ongoing, we received another report of the same man attempting to break into a residence also located in the 100 block of Abingdon Way Northeast. As officers continued to search for the suspect, they located a man matching the description located between 2 houses on Abingdon Way. As officers entered the backyard, the suspect began firing shots at the officers. It is our understanding that a member or members of our service returned fire. 1 officer was shot and was taken to hospital. Our officers contained the garage with members of the Police Service Tactical Unit. While the garage was contained, smoke was observed to be coming from the structure, which ultimately became fully engulfed. Members of the Calgary Fire Department were called in to extinguish the fire. Once the fire was extinguished, 1 man was located deceased inside the garage. In the coming days, more details will become available, but as far as I'm concerned, our members acted with incredible courage in a situation that escalated in a matter of seconds. To say I'm proud of our members and grateful that our officer is recovering is an understatement. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the members of EMS, the Calgary Fire Department, and the medical staff of the Foothills Hospital for the assistance they provided to our members. They are all heroes. So to that, I'll take questions.
What can you say about the injured officer and his condition at the moment?
He's stable right now, so I had a chance to speak with him quickly. He's under the care of the hospital. He's with his family and support mechanisms from the service. So to a great extent, he's very fortunate, but he's in good conditions.
What can you say about his spirits, though? How's he feeling?
Well, right now he's obviously, it's been a very traumatic event for him, so I had a very brief opportunity to talk to him, but you have to appreciate that he was, the situation he's faced with. So I think his family is appreciative of all the support they're getting. They're there for him. He's getting all the support in the world, so I think he's doing as well as could be expected.
What can you say about the suspect in this case? Was he known to police?
I think we're going to have to appreciate we know very little at this time. This just happened just a very short period of time ago. And remember, ACERT will take over that part of the investigation at this point, so we'll be somewhat constrained what we can say about the suspect in this matter, but that information will likely come out in the next coming days.
Can you just talk about, like, we've seen all of the break-ins and, robberies and stuff like that, and how dangerous these situations can be, to speak to the volatility of that?
Well, we've talked about this a lot in our community. The frequency of weapons in the city, the frequency of shootings, the chaotic behavior of people, the criminal nature makes policing very difficult right now. Our officers go to these scenes without a lot of information. They don't know what they're going to confront in each situation, but they use their training and their tactics and their support for each other to make sure they can be safe. But we do find these opportunities on an all too frequent basis where we're confronting firearms. In this case, one of our members was significantly injured by a firearm.
Can you speak to the involvement of the tactical team at all, and when and why they were called in?
There's some belief at the early times. I don't know exactly why they were called, except that there was the initial calls involved the idea there may be weapons involved, a carjacking and a robbery. So they were thoughtfully dispatched to be in the area as we circulated for this person. I think one of the things to recognize in our model of policing here that when our tactical team deploys like that, they deploy with a tactical EMS member as well. So that person being on scene at the time made a significant difference.
What are your own feelings, Chief, on that day like today? Because it's a very rare occasion.
Oh, I think it is very rare for the city. I mean, you're certainly concerned for the members. You're concerned for the community because these things happen to everybody. They happen to the community. They happen to our membership. And you have lots of concern for how people sort of absorb something like this. But I think more than anything, you're incredibly proud of our frontline responders, our police officers, the way they conduct themselves. You can imagine when this occurs, you know, people think there'll be lots of fear and anger and anxiety, but when you see your members sort of go into a very professional mode, do everything they can to create enough safety in that area to contain this person, to make sure we do all we can to render the situation safe, is a sign of a highly professional service. Very brave and very courageous members, and it's difficult. It's something, I think the last time we saw this in the city, outside of a training the training fatality we had was probably 25, 26 years ago. So it's not a lot of things like we're conditioned to see a lot. I think our members do a very good job on a very frequent basis, but when it happens, we have to be able to stand tall to it and respond professionally, and they did just that.
On the attack team again quickly, we heard that they might have been called away from the initial incident and then needed to be called back. That they were in the area, left the area, and came back. Can you confirm or speak to that?
I don't have that kind of detail at this point. I just am incredibly grateful they were there and they were able to deploy the way they did. So.
Can you talk a little bit more about this officer and just, you know, his role within CPS? I know you said 5-year officer, but can you say any more about what he's done?
Well, he's an officer. No, he's an officer like many of our frontline people. These are young men and women who go out to police. They have families. They go out to do everything they can to create safety in the city. And you know, in this case, he was confronted with a very violent situation and was seriously injured because of it. But it's a sign of the people that police here, the type of people that come out to police every day. These are not superheroes. These are average people who are very brave, who do what they can on a day-to-day basis to make sure that the city remains safe. And so they know that, you know, I just happened to meet him yesterday for the first time, just out of coincidence. And these are remarkable young people, and you know, I'm glad he's going to be all right.
Can you say why it was so important for you to get to the hospital so quickly?
Well, I think, you know, anytime, I mean, you don't know, like when you first hear the call, you don't really know what's happened. So I think to be there, make sure that you have an understanding what's occurred. The member themselves, the person that's injured, obviously have a significant amount of concern for what's happening there, but there's also a lot of other members that are in at the scene at the time, or around the scene at the time, those who were using their first aid training to support the member, those who are, you know, dealing with the chaos of the situation. There's a lot of people that need support. It's just an opportunity to make sure I get a good intimate understanding of what's occurred, what needs to happen here, and make sure that all of our support pieces come into play in a rapid sequence, so, which they did, thankfully, and it's one of the better signs about this service is how much support it provides to members in traumatic situations.
Now that it's over, what are you going to do for officers? I imagine they're professional mode, and then now it's a little bit setting in. We even saw some emotional responses on the scene.
Well, I think when a service and a community experiences a traumatic event like this, there's a time that people have to unwind. People have to sort of contextualize what they've experienced, where they've been, what they've seen, what it means to them. We had a chance here this morning or this afternoon after this occurred to talk to the recruit class about this, some brand new recruits about the realities of this profession and what you might come across. And I think everybody experiences trauma in their own unique ways. We just want to make sure they know that as you go through this, take the time to go through it. Don't try to tough your way through it. Be honest about your feelings, and then look for supports when supports are required. We offer quite a bit of time off for people that go through this, and it's not a gift. Time off is not a present we offer them. It's an opportunity to recover your health and recover your thoughts and make sure that when you're back to work, you're ready to be back at work, and we can pay attention to you for the long term.
What does this sort of incident tell Calgarians about the challenges that your individual frontline officers face that maybe we don't know enough about, because of course Calgary's, you know, has been relatively peaceful compared to other places. I mean, what should this show Calgarians in terms of the challenges your police service faces? I
think Calgary, our city, like all large cities, are going through a difficult time right now. I think the presence of you know, highly addictive drugs, the frequency of weapons, the chaoticness of behavior is a reminder to Calgarians that policing is important, that police matter, that the cops out there matter, and to support them, to help them understand what they're dealing with and what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis is why people enjoy the quality of life they do in the city, or one of the factors that help us enjoy the quality of life we enjoy. But it is at the expense of our young community members who are out there policing. And when they see things like this, it's a stark reminder that it's not all, you know, it's not all benign. There's some very dangerous things that occur, and you know, we do a very good job here protecting our officers and making sure they're safe, but you can't protect from everything. Here's a good sign of just what can happen when all these things line up like this, and it is very difficult to go through.
Are there any messages the Forget family has asked you to pass along?
Basically, what I've been asked to is to respect their privacy. I've had an opportunity to talk to them, and you can appreciate what it's like to be a family member going through this. Any family member that has this experience, watch their husband or their wife be injured like this, and to go through that experience, what they're really asking for is their opportunity to be private in this moment, and I really do want to honor that.
I just saw one of your social media officers tweet about the danger that some first responders were put in when people were tweeting the locations of officers. Is there a message that you have to members of the public when a situation like this is unfolding?
You know what? We live in an information world. The speed to which information hits social media and hits sites is part of how we live now. It's how everybody lives. I think, though, people have to understand the responsibility of that, too. Everybody has their own responsibility in the world now, that tweeting things out, sending pictures out in these early days can put people in harm's way. And these are real opportunities for harm. We have an active shooter, we have officers injured, and as images are going out and tweets are going out, compromising perhaps tactical positions, everybody has a role to play in ensuring a safe community. And I think, as all evolving communities have to understand, there are times to broadcast things on social media, but there are times not to. And I think in this case, there probably was messages going out that compromised that situation to some extent, and we hope all Calgarians get a sense of there are some better times to do that than what happened today.
When this happens, what is the effect among the other officers, not the people who were on the scene, but the people in the cars all through the city and the district offices? What is it like after something like this?
It's shocking. It's shocking for all of them. It's the first things you're going to wonder about is it somebody I know? Is it a friend of mine? Is it a classmate? And you start to wonder about all those details, much like you're wondering about. But I think then it hits you home about your own job, about your everyday, that you go out there and, as much as we try to protect our people and we train them well and we make sure they're in the best position they can to be safe, it does always remind you that policing has that risk point to it, that you may come across somebody who has the intention to hurt you. And this is, sometimes as we talked to our recruit class about this afternoon, is a reminder to find your training, adhere to your training, understand your training. If you don't feel comfortable out there, say something. So we make sure when you're in the best possible position to be safe on any given moment. Because this just shows you there's no there's such thing as a normal call or such thing as a safe call. These are just the times you go out there to be ready to police, be professional, but be prepared in every moment. And thank goodness our officers in this case were prepared, and they were able to render the assistance they needed to make sure that we had the best outcome we could have asked for in such a difficult situation.
But the fact that it hasn't happened for such a long time, you cited, I still remember how long ago that was. Does that also have an effect that a lot of people, most people in the police service weren't serving it?
I think we all have to remember we went through some difficult times here where the service was criticized for the numbers of shootings it experienced. But remember, every time an officer has to pull a trigger or use their lethal force option is an opportunity. They felt that immediate threat of death or grievous bodily harm. So we know over these last few years, our officers have been in far too many chaotic situations, far too many dangerous situations. And when we criticize them for their response, we were losing sight of the fact that it was their lives that were in danger. It was their lives that were being challenged in that moment. And this is, again, another reminder of that kind of scenario, that policing is difficult. And it's the decision points they have to make to protect themselves and protect others are often subject of criticism or debate or editorialization from the public, and that's fine, except I think it's always a good time to remember that these are real people, and they're vulnerable to serious injury or even worse. So it's just a good reminder for all of us to get that policing is a very sober and important aspect of community life, but there are certainly danger points to it.
You have a few officers wearing body cameras right now. Were any of the officers wearing body cameras at this incident?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Were there any other officers injured in this incident at all?
I haven't even had a chance to get out yet to the scene to see if there's anything else. No, I don't believe there's any other injuries related directly to the shooting itself, but of course one of the big injuries that we're going to be paying attention to is stress injuries, is the occupational stress issues, the sort of the severe trauma-related stress that we're going to have to pay attention to, and that's where you'll start to see the biggest impact to officers, of those who have that difficult emotional time to this.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.